Welcome to
No Fucking Filter.
It'll be fun. Hello. Oh.
Hi. A little mic malfunction, but here we are.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Let's do a little vibe check.
Yes, we need one.
What's going on?
Things are good. Podcast is doing wonderful. Life's been good. I think overall, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
But I'm excited.
You're deep into wedding planning. I don't know when this will air, but you're 10 weeks out?
Oh God, yeah. That's actually scary to think about. It's crunch time, and this is why I'm tired. I'm just like, it's constant. So full on wedding planning. But how are you feeling, Lise?
I'm feeling good. We've been busy doing lots of pod stuff because we know that our busy season for work is coming up.
Totally.
So, I'm feeling good. This sun is giving me life. I feel like we won winter. We survived.
Spring is like literally arriving. I'm so excited. Okay, I wanted to cheers with you because I feel like we deserve to kind of celebrate how well the pod has been doing.
I'm so proud of us.
I am proud of us too. So cheers.
We've been doing a lot of guest episodes lately, so it feels like forever since we've just had a solo.
I know, I'm really excited to just like chit chat with you.
Me too.
And this one's a good episode too.
It is. Before we get into it, there is a little something I kind of wanted to quickly touch on. I've listened back to a bunch of the episodes and I've realized that when referring to couples, my default is always bride and groom. And
it's hard to get away from that,
but I love all couples. Mm-hmm. We're both super inclusive. We have lots of brides and brides, grooms and grooms. So
we love them all.
Do better at just saying couples and not brides and grooms.
Yeah, it's a tough one to try and have that inclusive language, and the only thing that we can do is be better going forward, right? So we're gonna do that.
We're gonna be better.
I'm gonna call you out. You call me out. We got it.
Okay. Do you want to tell them what we're talking about today?
Yeah.
This has been out of all the episodes we've done, this has been the most requested one.
It has, yeah. So today's episode is family drama. It's finally here, you guys. We have tons to unpack on this subject.
Tons. We're going to try to keep it. We actually are about to record another episode after this with some exciting guests. So we're going to keep this one
nice and short.
On track.
Try and keep it condensed. I mean, there's so much we could talk about for each thing, but
so much.
We're going to see, maybe we need to make a part 2. We'll see what happens. We also want to hear your guys' stories, chime in, because we know there's some crazy stories out there.
Everyone teases us like, I have so many stories to tell about that.
Well, I know.
And tell us then. What are they?
Please, dish.
Quit hiding it from us. We want to know.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's say, you're at a wedding. You're planning your wedding. You have to invite family. Family's a part of it.
Technically you don't.
I guess not. You could not as well.
That's why people elope.
This is true. Oh my gosh. But so many people are in one room.
Yeah.
Like they've never seen. They haven't seen
different families, which in one family there might be a lot of people that don't get along so well, or there might be weird tensions. Now times that by 2. So really there's like 4 families usually at most weddings, right?
Totally.
There's 2 on each side. So damn. Yeah, it can be a lot.
It can be a lot, and I think it's rare that we see a wedding that doesn't have any dynamics that kind of are tricky. So, but you're right. That's why people freaking choose to elope, because they don't want to deal with family members.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, people have lots of different reasons for eloping, but I think probably one of the most common ones is that they just know they're not going to be able to handle their family, or their families won't be able to handle each other. Also, if you had a really huge family, maybe you'd want to elope, because it's very hard to be like, I'm going to invite this person and not that person. So
yeah, when it comes to like cousins and like extended family, it can just, your numbers can just grow exponentially, and it's like, it's expensive too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and you may not even like some of those people.
PSA, if you're inviting people that you don't necessarily know or not like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that at all.
You definitely don't.
Which brings us to our first subject, which is pressure, I feel like, from family members.
Yeah, I think every couple planning their wedding probably feels that pressure in some way. Even if you have the most understanding, patient parents, they're definitely putting pressure on you. And probably before the wedding, there was pressure of like, when are you going to get married?
Oh,
Where's it going to be?
There's always pressure from the outside sources, but like, and it's really hard to actually tune those out, because they're important people to you, and you're like wanting to take their suggestions and everything, but you kind of have to have boundaries with family.
I think boundaries is like definitely the theme.
Yes.
If there's someone that you know is going to just bring the bad vibes or bring the drama or cause conflict at your wedding, then you need to take a long, hard think about if you want them to be there, because they don't have to be.
No.
You don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
Exactly. And that's easier said than done, but
it really is.
But we really want to promote that. We really want you guys to stick true. But I feel like with when you do get families that are divorced, I think that's the most common issue we see is, us as photographers, we're like, okay, we can really like take some of that stress off of you guys, because we're like, don't worry, like we got a photo list from you. We're not going to have them standing next to each other. We're going to maneuver that, which is, photo lists are so important, because if we don't know those family dynamics, then
and just telling us before, like I have friends that have been with their partners for years and just are not gonna get married because they're scared to have their parents together. And honestly, when I got married, I kind of felt like that. My parents hadn't been in the same room together for years at that point. And I mean, I'm not married anymore to my kid's dad, and that was kind of always my goal, was like, I don't ever want them to feel that stress. Like I'll bite my tongue 100 times to like get to this place where someday they can have an event and we can both like sit at the table and enjoy ourselves.
You've done an amazing job with like maneuvering this situation, and like
a lot of time
and you guys are both like, you're parenting and co-parenting, so like you kind of not every situation is as easy, but it's,
well, I think I learned from that, right? Like feeling that stress of my parents, I was just like, I will never do that. But we feel it from our couples. Like they'll talk about it to us leading up, like how nervous they are about that. And I just think that's so sad. I mean, rarely does anything come of it. I think everyone usually puts their conflict aside and shows up and puts a smile on.
In a perfect world, they would. It's not about the parents on this day, right? Like it's about your kids, and you just do have to put issues aside,
like you can get through anything for one day.
Exactly.
Most people can. Some people cannot, evidently.
Apparently. Jeez. Well, with anyone who's like suffering from like planning their wedding and struggling with this, we feel for you, because we see it a lot.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I actually this year on one of my pre-wedding questionnaires, I was looking at it in the car before I went up to the girls' room to get ready, and it said, my stepmom will not be attending the wedding on account of she's a huge bitch.
Oh my God.
I think it said that, or on account of she's like the worst, or I don't know, something to that effect. And I was like dying laughing because it was just so funny. But I was like, good for you. Like, if you knew that she was going to show up and not be there for you, like, sorry.
I mean, yeah, that's something where it's like, if you don't get along with, like, it's like this, what's that movie with Jennifer Lopez? It's like Monster-in-Law.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that's a common thing too. Maybe you don't really jive with the parents, and
have you seen some Monster-in-Laws?
I think we've seen those dynamics for sure.
We have.
And we don't like to hate on the moms. We love moms, but there's most commonly there's some issues in the morning.
I think like the
moms.
mother and child relationship in every relationship is so complex.
Oh yeah.
For like, I mean, this isn't a therapy session, so we won't get into it, but it really comes out, those relationships, whether good or bad, you really gonna get to see it under like a microscope on a wedding day. And honestly, that's like, what's so exciting to me about weddings is we show up in a room full of people we don't know. We usually know like their names, but we don't know who the mom is, who the other couple's mom, like whatever. We don't know everyone's dynamic, and just watching it all unfold throughout the day gives me life. Like, I'm
honestly,
so entertained.
I've always wanted a new day every day, which is like I found it so hard to work like one job, and this like being able to work different weddings is just so entertaining, honestly.
Also, like not having any skin in the game and being able to be the person that's like, don't worry about it, it's okay, and kind of be that calming force.
Totally. Because
we don't know the history, and we're like, it's fine, just let it be.
Yeah.
Like,
and we want to be like we're usually best buddies with our couples, so it's like, if they're ever feeling like a little anxious, we also are that like you said, calming force, and they can be like, okay, holy shit. Like, they can't say that to anyone else.
Certain people separated.
Totally. Yeah. We can be like, okay, like, we can tell that she's like had enough of her mom like trying to fix her dress. We're like, okay, that doesn't need to happen anymore.
Mom.
Thanks, Mom. Like, go stand over here now. Like, so moms can really
okay, what's a crazy mom story? Do you have one?
I will say moms kind of get the brunt of.
That's true.
Like, if I'm going to get mad at anyone, take it out on anyone, my mom will have done nothing wrong, but she gets the brunt force of my anger, which is just sad.
It's that theory,
Mom.
right? Like, the person you feel most comfortable with is the person that you can like unload on. So, moms, we see moms get it.
Totally. Well, here's a good example. I think I've actually like touched on this one before, but
it deserves a second.
It does. It's this bride, she had been so stressed in the morning and everything, and I think moms almost need their own schedule sent to them so that they know where to be, when, what to be dressed in exactly. So mom leaves the room to go put on her dress, but bride is like worried about timeline, so she starts kind of yelling and is like, where is she? And we're like, oh, she just went to go change. And she's like, well, she's gonna miss this then, and just starts getting dressed, and like, and then her mom comes back and she's like, you missed it, it's done, it's over, poor thing, right? And
that's so like heartbreaking.
We gave it just like a little minute or two and massaged it a bit and was like, okay, like, Mom just wants to come in here, give you a hug. Okay, we want to get this photo for you. Like, and it kind of like calmed down. But yeah, I was like, whoa. And then, but that's kind of on the opposite end of it, right? So I've also seen the other side where we're like, okay, timeline and everything, and the mom is kind of making it about herself.
Yeah.
So
we see that a lot.
Oh yeah. So she's doing up the dress on her daughter, and she then decides to tell a 10-minute story to her daughter about this whole fiasco and everything, and we're just standing there like looking at the time ticking by, and she is visibly, like, the bride is visibly like, okay, like, what is going on right now, story, Mom? Like, what are you doing? And and so many, like, that's just an example, but like, moms just kind of being overbearing and also kind of like more posy and stuff rather than being in the moment.
I think it's just a different generation too. Like when that generation of like our parents' age got married, it wasn't like you had a photographer following you around for 10 hours.
Yeah,
right?
true.
Someone was shooting a roll of film. Maybe you paid them if they were lucky, but probably it was like a friend or something that had a camera. So there wasn't these like candid moments. It was more of like formal portraits.
Totally.
And that's it.
You're so right.
Yeah.
Do you have any crazy mom stories? I feel like mine weren't like that crazy, but
I'm sure I do. Honestly, we've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
So they all sort of like
they
blend
exist,
together.
but
I definitely I'll show up and the mom will be like my first point of contact, like waiting for me at the door. I've literally had them sometimes waiting outside and I'm like on time and they're like, oh, finally you're here or whatever. Cause they just don't know, like they're not part of the conversation leading up and they're kind of like stressy. And I'm like, yep, it's okay. Thanks so much. Like ready, here to work. Or parents that are like, almost think, because a lot of parents are contributing to the wedding. So if they're paying for the photos, they almost think they're like hiring us and they get to tell us what to do. Almost the couple needs to have that clear communication and be like, we really appreciate you guys contributing to the wedding, but we'll handle it. You don't need to tell the photographer like what photos you want.
Yeah, exactly.
And often actually the couple will say, tell me beforehand. Like my mom's probably going to ask you for all these photos. Just ignore her.
Totally. Just ignore her.
Yeah.
At family photos, that's when I see it happen.
This is where the mom comes out.
Often.
It's always the mom at family photos.
But what about this photo? And I'm like, oh, not on the list. She's like, oh.
What about me and all my cousins? And now me and all my aunts.
And me and all my sisters. And so it's a tough one. Try and just be present with your like whoever it is that's getting married and
if you are planning a wedding, maybe have that conversation with your parents beforehand. Give them clear expectations of what you need from them. Also, dads on a wedding day like kill me.
Oh my gosh.
Because they take 2 seconds to get ready. They're not really involved. Like they have no clue what the plan is for the day. So they're always sort of just like wandering around like, waiting for a job. And I always feel so bad for
chill.
them.
Like it's actually so funny.
But give dad a job. Tell him he's in charge of like, I don't know.
They do need a job.
Picking up the flowers or whatever. Like he needs to be involved.
And it's like no pressure for like first looks and stuff, but like I feel like it's so sweet. We see a little bit of like the range, right? Yeah. It's like the
dad first look is always really cute.
It is.
Or really funny because the like bride will be like, okay, dad, you can come see me now. Kind of waiting for this reaction. And dad will be like, yep. Looks
sweet.
Good.
Amazing. Like, good stuff. Yeah.
But when I don't know what it is. Again, we've talked about this on our Instagram. A lot of us have daddy issues.
Yeah. Oh my God.
For me personally, when I see the dads getting emotional, it kind of makes me a bit emotional.
I know.
It's so cute.
Yeah. I always am like crying behind my camera. I've already discussed this.
We all do it.
If you have a good dad, I'm like, where's mine? No, I'm just kidding.
Along with parents, because sadly, the divorce rate is very high. Yes. So along with parents, often comes another set of parents.
Oh, yeah.
Step parents. And if that's on both sides of the couple, that's like a whole tribe of parents. So that's a lot to manage. And it's really interesting to see how people kind of handle that step parent dynamic. Like some of them are included. I've seen one where like the dad and the stepdad walked the bride down the aisle. I didn't do that at my wedding, but I sort of wished that I did because my stepdad's like such an important part of my life. But we also see the flip side.
Yeah. Yes, we do. Some people can't even talk or stand next to each other. It's...
And And we've seen some like definitely Cinderella stepmothers. I have one crazy stepmom story.
Okay, tell.
So the stepmom, I think I'd been warned already that there was like a rocky relationship between the bride and her stepmom. So I love to hear that beforehand because I'm like, what is going to happen today? And then stepmom comes in, like doesn't really talk to anyone, is kind of like, you know, giving off some weird vibes. What does she show up wearing? White.
You're
a white dress.
You're joking.
Literal
A
white dress. And then obviously seated in the front row because that's typically where parents sit. And the bride is just seething the whole time. Like everyone got an earful from her about like, can you believe this is what she wore? And like,
did the bride say anything to?
What can she say? Like go home and change? She's got to just deal with it. But like out of the corner of her eye the whole day, she sees this white dress floating around.
Oh my God. Is this really something that we have to like tell people prior to? Like you would think not, right? You would think that she would have.
I think she knew. I mean, there's no way you're that out of touch that you show up as a stepmom to the wedding in white. Like,
no.
Come on, that's not acceptable.
I will say, like, my mom has mentioned a couple of times how she's got to wear white. She really wants to wear white.
You know what? I love your mom, but that doesn't surprise me.
She actually wants to wear the exact same dress as me. She's like, we could be matching. I'm like, okay, this is
you know what?
A really
Maybe
good joke.
She can wear it white to the rehearsal dinner or something.
Right. So another thing is when parents are paying for part of the wedding. One. Like what would you say is something acceptable that they can ask for since they're contributing?
It's really tricky when parents start paying for parts of the wedding. Mm-hmm. I think. I mean, not from my personal experience, but from like an outside perspective. The more they're contributing, the more they think it's like their party. They want to invite friends. I've heard where parents want to invite like 20 of their friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they're paying for it, you're kind of under this obligation to like let them. So again, I think that's like a conversation you need to have. Like, sure, we would love to take your money, but this doesn't buy you like guests at the wedding. Or sure, you can pay for the photographer, but that doesn't mean you get your own photo shoot.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's tricky. I think just having those conversations beforehand really sets the expectation, and maybe
Boundaries.
You don't take that money from them as part of the wedding, but they give it as a gift, or I don't know.
Exactly. Like the way we're doing it is we kind of have certain things that Deb is helping out with, Bob is helping out with, like different family members are helping out with, and we have been totally open with you know, we're lucky. We're in a lucky situation, but I feel like other parents could definitely push the boundary a bit, and just, I think, like you said, communication prior to accepting the money, because once you accept it, they kind of,
I almost think, if they're paying, then they get a little bit more say.
But it's like, I feel like people should be open to some of the suggestions, right? To an extent, because...
Do you think parents should invite their friends to the wedding?
No. I'm just kidding.
Me neither. Unless they're like...
Some,
Unless they're family and friends that like you have a relationship with.
If I've met them and we've like... There's a couple people coming that Deb, we've all been out in Mexico with. We've hung out with them separately, gone out for dinner. That's a whole different thing, right?
Yeah, my mom's best friend from childhood was like my aunt growing up. So
amazing.
She came to my wedding, but it's because I had a relationship with her, not because like my mom wanted a buddy there.
Yeah, right. Okay, what's another family drama part of the wedding? Like
siblings.
Yeah.
Siblings are huge.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because not everyone has a good relationship with their sibling.
Sadly, no.
There can be a
How's your
lot of
relationship with your sister?
not great. I'm pretty open
Me
about
neither.
it.
I also have a sister that I.
Okay, let's do. Okay,
This is not alcohol, but I wish it was.
not only daddy issues, but we have sister issues.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. Okay, so siblings can be huge.
Yeah. We've seen rivalries. We've seen jealousy. We've seen it
Yeah.
all come out during the speeches.
Yeah, you know what? Weddings are kind of honestly like your family under a microscope.
Totally.
Like it brings out all those parts, and rarely is your entire family
In one place.
on
at
both
one
sides
time.
in a room together.
Totally.
The thought of that terrifying.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's start with siblings. Do you think, I already know your answer, but I'll ask anyway. Do you think siblings need to be in the wedding party?
I don't think that they need to be. I think it's cute when they are included because if you have a good relationship with your sister and you're like best friends, then yes.
It is nice. You see siblings that are like best friends, and I
do love that. But then you also see the other side of it where it's like, I have a friend who had a kind of falling out with her brother. She was invited to the wedding. It was a huge thing that she had to like figure out if she wanted to do. She didn't want to regret not being there. So she ended up going and everything ended up being fine. But it's like, it is an awkward situation to have to be in, right? Because you're trying to celebrate someone's like...
Yeah. That's something I haven't really thought about is like, I've thought a lot about being the couple and who you want to invite, but being someone on the other side getting invited, I almost think if you're going to accept that invitation, you have to put everything aside,
be on your best
and
behavior.
show up with a smile and only bring good vibes. Like
Totally.
if there's any sort of like tension or awkwardness, like you shouldn't go.
You can easily say no to the invite, right? And avoid all of this drama that is happening at
And then
these
the
weddings.
flip side for the couple, like if you think that someone's going to cause drama, you do not have to invite them, even if it's your sibling.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty open about my kind of relationship with my sister. It hasn't been the easiest for us, like our whole lives. We've kind of gone through lulls of like being super close and being super distant.
Yeah.
And it's kind of unfortunate. I have a lot of feelings towards this because unfortunately right now is like a huge part like a huge thing happening in my life. I'm getting married this year and we are at a point where we're just not close at all, right? So
Yeah.
and it's hard to say where we'll be in the future and everything. We've come back quite a few times from our fallouts and stuff, but I don't know. I think I've had to think long and hard about if I should invite her or not. I would love, obviously, for us to have a great relationship and have her there and everything, but it just doesn't feel right. So she is not invited to the wedding.
Yeah.
I'm having her daughter, obviously, my niece, come. So there's like, it's hard to have her
piece.
and then not her, but it kind of brings me a part of my sister still.
Yeah.
But I think as big as this day might seem, it's also just it's a day, right? And it doesn't mean that I won't ever be friends or get along with my sister in the future.
No.
But and I don't feel like I'm missing or she's missing out on too much either. Like, I think it's best for both of us just for her not to be there because I feel like there would be so much drama and so much tension and so much, like, unless we like really sorted things out prior. I don't think I have a huge support from her either for my relationship, and I think that's a huge thing. Like,
and I think if she's not, we see a lot where like a sibling really doesn't like the person you're marrying or they have conflict.
Why would they be there?
If they can't show up and support both of you, then they don't need to be there.
Yeah.
It's about the two of you.
it's about the marriage of like the two people. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's always that. I don't know. There's so many, like, siblings are such a complicated
They are.
dynamic. Sometimes I'll literally have no idea, and some guy will, like, slide into the family photos. I'm like, who's this guy? And they're like, oh, that's my brother. I'm like, what? Where's he been all day?
Actually, that's so true. I haven't even thought of that. Like, that happens a lot. Like, you see some family members are so involved, and then some are just kind of, they have to be in the family photos.
Were you in the back corner all day? Like, where did you come from?
So we don't know those dynamics, actually, right? So, interesting. And then I've had, like, family photos where the like couple has asked for their siblings' significant others not to be involved. So, like, that goes both ways, right? They're not supportive of that relationship, and it's their day. So
you know what? I don't know if it means they're not. I've had this too, actually pretty common at weddings, where it's always kind of awkward for us to navigate it in a way. And I actually had some drama around this, but in a way where you're like, okay, let's get the whole family. Okay, now Stephanie, we'll have you step out. And because I think if, like, one of the siblings is dating
that's
someone,
right.
They might break up in a year, and then all of a sudden, what are you going to do with these family photos?
You have to send
Stephanie's in every freaking one.
Go get them photoshopped.
Yeah,
no, that's terrible.
That's part of it, and that makes sense. Like,
yeah, you're right.
And sometimes the person that's dating the sibling feels kind of weird too. They're like, I don't know if I should be in it or should not. So we try to take one of just the family and then one of, like, the partners. But I had a wedding that I shot, and I did that. I always do that. I think throughout all the communication, they didn't end up getting me a family photo list, so I kind of just did what I normally did. And the brother of the bride had a girlfriend, and so at one point I asked her to step off to the side, and the mom really didn't like that. She thought I was being, like, super disrespectful, and she actually came to me the next day. I happened to be at, like, the next day brunch. She came to me and flipped out and was like, how dare you have asked her to move aside? Like, you've now put a rift in our family and blah, blah, blah.
What?
And I was like, okay, well, I didn't get a list. If I had a list, then this wouldn't have happened, which is why we asked for that list. Oh my gosh,
yeah.
But that's just, like, protocol. It's not, we're not singling anyone out.
No, that's insane that she came up to talk to you.
Yeah, it was super awkward.
Wow. She had been that had been building. Yeah. She had been thinking about that all night.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah, she was not happy.
What the heck? The next thing I think we should talk about is speeches, because I see this a lot where the kind of, like, family dynamics and drama kind of come out, because most of the time I see one side of the family give their speech, and it's, you know, long or short, whatever, but it's thoughtful. And then the other side just, like, tries to, like, totally outdo that side.
Yeah.
Or in the other circumstance, it's like, it's kind of like one family is, like, commenting on both of the side, like the couple or whatever.
Like welcoming one into the family.
Yeah. And then the other one just talks straight about their, like, child, and it's like, okay, like, so.
And then there's also, like, the speeches, like, when siblings give speeches sometimes. Most of the sibling speeches, honestly, I love. They're so funny. But some of them are, like, they're bringing up stuff that should be, like, a therapy session.
Yeah,
and you're like, I don't know if this is the place.
Yeah, so happy for you guys, but I just, like, can't wait for me to find my person, or at my wedding, so much happened. Da, 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 da.
Like, Mom always said you were her favorite.
Yeah, you can kind of tell with, like, the sibling speeches when there's, like, some spice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Then there's, like, the whole thing too is, like, what if one partner's parents don't get along with the other partner's parents? Because I've seen that at weddings, and it's awkward as heck.
It is.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because, like, yeah, at some point you just want to be like,
But it's like two completely different people that it's not like those people, I mean, they kind of become family when their kids get married, but they don't have any like relation to each other. They might have zero things in common, completely different backgrounds. Sometimes it's so funny. You'll see like one's like lives out in the country and they come in their cowboy boots and they're sort of like this vibe. And then the other ones are like fancy, like city people are, I don't know, just seeing the two different families like try to strike up a conversation and like mingle is so funny to me.
Our kids are getting married. Like, cool. How the hell did they find stuff in common? And we're like,
I think hot tip, opposites. Like you should definitely have a lot of opportunities for your parents to meet each other and hang out before the wedding.
And sometimes it's not possible, but
that's true.
Never met,
if they don't live in the same city.
Totally.
Yeah. But that's what the rehearsal is for. Get all that out of the way.
The day before. Oh man. I don't think I've seen any like fights break out, but I can't wait for that. No, I'm just kidding.
Hopefully this season.
Yeah, we'll see what this season.
I'm trying to think if I'm not like a physical fight. I haven't seen breakout, but I've definitely seen like you can pick up on the tension, right?
Oh,
you're
totally.
like, oh, those two like hate each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There is gonna be a lot of tension at our wedding because of Luke has a lot of dynamics in his family.
Yeah, he does.
And there are some people that probably can't stand to be in the same room as each other. So we are going to see how that goes.
Well, guess what? They're going to be.
Yeah, they are. They are. So
the good news is you can just go about your day and you don't really need to engage in any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll smooth it over.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. You just go.
Put me at their table.
Are there any other family drama situations that we could...
Yeah, I think there's like the whole extended family piece. Like, what if your cousins are just batshit? Like, we see like cousins and aunt and uncles that are just like wild, or that are like... There's always that cousin table. It's either like a bunch of awkward, nerdy cousins. That's usually the table I'm at.
Yeah.
Or there's the party table in the back that's just like wild. Those are usually cousins.
Totally.
Cousins don't, as adults, don't really hang out that often.
I know.
So if you put a bunch of rowdy ones together that haven't seen each other for years, they're
this is true.
They're partying.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And they can stir up some drama. I feel like they're like more unhinged and like no filter. They'll just be like, oh, fucking Uncle Bob over here is just, he hates blah, blah, blah. And like,
or they're like shouting stuff out during speeches.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We want to know like other family drama stories, because there's a lot that we could get into, but we want to start sharing some of our listeners' stories. So if you guys have stuff, like, stop holding out on us.
I know, we need to know.
Like, you guys tell us you have stories, but you don't actually share them with us.
Someone told me a funny one. I can't remember if we talked about this or not, because we actually did, just so you guys know, we did pre-record a family episode a while ago, but we had some like technical issues, so we decided just to scrap it and start over. So I may have told this, but whatever, I'm going to tell it again. The mother of the groom walked down the aisle holding her phone in one hand and a Diet Coke in the other, and no one like took it away from her.
How does this stuff happen?
Wedding
How does
photo,
it happen?
Mom's like walking down the aisle.
Oh my God. I've actually, that's outrageous. Like, who, take this Coke away from this lady? Like, what? Like, but I've had a mom story. This is like kind of not on topic, but she reached out and had me delete some of the photos of her, which is kind of sad, because, your kids, that's what they're looking back at. And just because you don't really like yourself in the photos, it's more about the moment itself rather than like, oh, were you smiling weird, or was your hair out of place, or like whatever. So
yeah, we get this a lot. We even get it. We've talked about this before, but on the wedding day, it's always a mom or like a mom of someone that's like, you can just make me look 10 pounds skinnier, right?
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, it really brings out people's insecurities, but having your parent, well, I'm sure your client had no idea that their mom was reaching out, but having a parent reach out to your wedding vendors is so tough and like puts you as a photographer in a really awkward position. I've had a mom, actually, who was just telling us this. A mom reached out directly to the photographer after the wedding and asked her to change the color of her dress.
What?
Yeah, because she didn't like the way it looked next to the white wedding gown in all the photos. So she reached out and said, can you Photoshop the color of my dress in every photo? Because I just don't think it looks good, or something to that effect. Like, I can't. No. And if you're wanting to prep and be like, you know, it's just prep for you to feel your best, and there you go. But like, we can't, that puts us in a very tough situation. Yeah, I don't think that we should be communicating with, or I personally don't feel comfortable communicating with anyone but my clients. Yeah, no, agreed. So I've had moms reach out with requests after the fact for different stuff, and I'm always like, oh, let me talk to my client about it, and she'll let you know. Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts out there, guys. Yeah. Families are a huge role to play in the wedding, but they they also contribute their own special little touches. They can make touches. It or break it. Yeah. They sprinkle the little bits of spice. Yeah. And crazy. That's true. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, if you choose to elope, we support you. Yeah. We understand why. Oh, but that's like a huge thing too, is like having to tell your parents that you are eloping. And I know it's a tough subject. Like one of my friends really, really struggled with actually telling her parents, and like, because they were just scared of the reaction. And it's like, again, it's like just about you guys and what you choose to do and what you want to do. And not all parents are that supportive of you running off and doing it alone. So that's a tough one to navigate too. It is tough. What's that old like saying? It's better to ask for forgiveness and permission. That's I've had a couple do that. Tell them after. I was shooting an elopement video, and I was like, so like, how did your parents take it? And blah blah. They're like, they don't know, and we're gonna just show them the video, and then there you go. And I was like, well, that's one way to do it. I support that. Yeah. We don't want to keep this. We want to keep this nice and short and sweet. We'll touch on some more stuff in the future for sure once we get some more stories. But we do want to play our game. You guys know it by now. I do or boo. I do or boo. So some of these are family related. Yeah, Lise? They all are. Nice. Maybe I'll ask you them all. I can ask you. I feel like you always ask me. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, I do or boo. Dad's walking you down the aisle. I'm gonna say boo, because I think it's kind of an old. My shock. If you're just listening, Sophia's mouth was. I was just like, oh my God, what? I think it's kind of an archaic thing. It's the same old like, who gives the bride to the groom? Like, we're independent. Like, if you love your dad and you feel like you want him to give you away, absolutely, he should walk you down the aisle. But I think it's also okay to walk down yourself. Yeah, walk yourself down that aisle. Both your parents to walk you down, or I've seen couples even walk down together. Like the whole thing of like your dad has to walk you, I think is kind of an old tradition. It's old tradition. Yeah, I agree. And you can mix it up however you'd like. Yeah. Get your mom, just walk whatever yourself, feels right. Whatever. Yeah. Agreed. Parent dances. It's also a thing I don't really like get. It's one of those it's like cake cutting to me. I'm like, I guess. It's always very cute. And like we said with the dad, like with our daddy issues, it's so sweet to watch. Yeah. But I think, you know, if it's going to be forced and you're not feeling it, you could
totally
skip that part. Or you could, if your dad's not there, you could dance with your mom or whatever. Again,
Agreed.
Make it your own.
You don't necessarily have to do it. One thing I do like, I'll just add in, is when parent dances happen at the same time. If you kind of don't want so much pressure or attention on you and your parent at that time, then you could do it at the same time. And I think that's really cute.
Me too. This isn't on the list, but I'm going to add it in and ask you it. Okay. I do or boo. We've all seen them on like TikTok and stuff. When the parents have like a choreographed dance.
Oh, absolutely not. But then I do at the same time. That's a hard one.
When the mom like shows her sneakers and they break into some sort of like,
it's funny. And I think, you know what, I would say boo, because it's like, it's cheesy. It's like kind of, it's funny, whatever. But I do, because it actually creates like so much preparing time, right? Like those are moments that you won't get back. Like that's you and your parent, whoever that might be,
taking like dance lessons.
Yeah, literally planning a dance. Like bring me back to like literally 5 years old in the living room being like, let's make a dance. Like that's cute.
I think if it's genuine and that's sort of like your relationship with each other, it's funny. But when it's forced because you saw it on TikTok and you want to do it,
don't
cringe.
Totally cringe. Yeah. Okay, family, that's a good one to add in there, but families sitting on opposite sides of the aisle of the couple.
Oh, yeah, I think, again, this is like one of those old traditions that should be dead. I mean, everyone's just there for both of you. There doesn't need to be like so-and-so on this side. And, who are you with? Like, well, we're here for everyone, so just grab a seat.
Yeah, and I think that like the switching so that you can see your son or daughter or whoever it might be a little easier is kind of nice.
I could see in the front them being on a certain side, but other than that, like people should just sit wherever they want.
I agree, it doesn't have to. And then you'd look at one side and it's like almost empty, and then the other one, like you can kind of be like, oh, what the heck? Like they don't have any friends.
I just, oh, sad.
That's sad.
I just shot a wedding a few weeks ago, and when people the aunts were the mom sisters were the like ushers or whatever, helping people to their seats. And when people walked in the door, they were saying, "Who are you here for, the bride or the groom?" Oh, this is where you sit on this side. And it was so awkward because friends were like,
we're both.
Yeah, so don't do that.
No, agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, having mother-in-laws there in the morning.
As with all my answers, if it feels right, do it. But if that's like a hard rule, then boo. There's a lot going on in the morning, and you want to roll into that day being like relaxed and calm.
If you have a good relationship with them, I think that's really cute to have them there, because they are just as much a part of your day as your other parents.
I always feel like it's sort of sad when the mother-in-law, if it's her son that's getting married, because the guys are kind of doing their own. Like she's there and the guys are being like so obnoxious. Like she should be with the girls, but only if you guys have a good relationship.
Totally. Yeah. Inviting parents on The Bachelor and Bachelorette.
It's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Well, like I've heard of people having their families, and I'm like, how? Like, did you go to like?
I can't picture it.
I guess it depends on where is your bachelorette.
Okay, where? What are you doing on
What are you doing? I don't think like your aunt or your mom want to see you gyrating and humping a pole, or like having
is that what you're gonna be
doing? No, but like I don't think they want to see that. So like I mean, just don't have them come.
It depends too. Like if your mom is friends with you. Like, if you would hang out normally, if your mom would come for a girls' night, maybe, but like,
it's a rare occasion.
Sorry, Florence, you're not invited to Sophia's.
No,
we'll
some
celebrate
wild
with you
things.
later.
My mom probably would disown me after seeing what we're gonna get up to.
I don't know. You're scaring me. I don't know what you're gonna be up to.
I love to dance.
You know what, though? I see. So if the guys go on like a golf trip or something and the dad comes, I always hear the dad like kind of bonding, like he feels like he's like one of the bros, and then at the wedding he'll be like, yeah, remember on like the guys trip, and he'll kind of feel like he's part of the like in crowd. So
it is cute.
Again, it's based on your relationship.
Totally. 100%. Okay, wow. We're like giving both sides there the entire time.
We can't commit.
Yeah, I know. We see the both sides. But yeah, thanks for listening to this episode, you guys.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up. Another cheers.
We're so happy that you guys are listening.
I know.
We love the feedback. Honestly, every time we get a message from people we don't even know that are like, we listen, we love listening.
It means so much.
Listening to everyone. Like, that's so nice. And we are just glad that we're talking about stuff that you guys are entertained by. But we also want to know what you want to hear from us.
Yeah, because we're ready to talk about it. Like,
clearly, we'll talk about anything. So tell us what you want to hear.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be wedding related either.
No.
So,
yeah.
We'll amazing. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for listening and following along. It would mean the world to us if you could subscribe and leave a rating and a review. 5 stars only.
We come out with new episodes every second Thursday. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at the NFF Podcast and on YouTube at No Fucking Filter Podcast.
We would love to hear from you if you have any episode ideas or any crazy stories to tell.
We are always accepting new sponsorships, or if you'd like to be featured on the podcast, feel free to reach out. Bye.